In this lecture, we're going to see that we can use a bunch of offsets and control the range of data that you are manipulating in your container using iterators. And we're going to be doing something like this. We will have a container and have two iterators, a begin iterator and an end iterator. The begin iterator is going to be pointing to the first element, and the end iterator is going to be pointing past the last element in your collection. And what we can do is we can use a bunch of offsets to say where we want to begin and where we want to end in our collection. So for example, we may say that we want to work with a range like this. Maybe we want to work with 5, 17, and 5 here. And we can adjust our begin iterator to come and start from here, and adjust the end iterator to move all the way to this location. And we achieve this through a bunch of offsets we can add to our begin iterator and subtract from our end iterator. So for example, to achieve what we want here, we might say begin plus 1, 2, and 3. This is going to be our begin iterator. So we will add an offset of 3 to the begin iterator and hit this location where we want to start from. And we can subtract from the end iterator. And we're going to subtract 1, 2, and 3 and hit this location here. And this is going to really act as our new end iterator. When we hit this location, we will know that we have hit the end iterator, and we will be manipulating the data within the range of interest. So let's see how we can do this in code. We will modify our print collection function, and we will pass in a begin adjustment or a begin offset and an end offset. So in the body, we will do almost the same thing. We will set up a starting point, which is going to be the begin iterator, to which we add our begin offset, which is going to move us to the new beginning. And then we will take the end iterator and subtract our end adjustment. This is going to give us what we want. Once we have our new adjustment for the starting point and the end point, we will use them to loop through our collection. And this is going to be exactly what we have done from the last lecture. We will keep looping until we hit the end, and at each iteration, we will dereference our iterator and print the element from that location, and then we will increment our iterator to move to the next element. And we can use this kind of technique to really try and manipulate any kind of container that supports iterators. Here we are using this on an std vector events and an std array for ends, and this is going to work really well. In this example here, we will set the begin offset to be 2 and the end offset to be 2. So we will take the begin iterator and add 2, and we will do 1 and 2. So the begin iterator is going to hit 33 here, and we will take the end iterator and subtract 2, and that's going to be 1 and 2, and the end iterator is going to be at 66. So if we try to print the range, we will get 33 all the way to 55. And that's going to be our data. We can really do the same thing for ints too, and this is going to work. Now that you know this, we're going to head over to Visual Studio Code and play with this a little more. Here we are in our working folder. The current project is traversing container subsets with iterators. This is what we want to do. We can grab our template files pretty quick and put them in place. And we're going to open this up in Visual Studio Code. So let's drag and drop here. This will give us the main CPP file, and let's clean this up a little bit. We will include std vector or vector. So let's do vector and include array because we want to play with these things. We will set up our print collection function, which is really going to be the same thing like we had in the last lecture, but we will now take input as an offset to the beginning iterator and an offset to the end iterator, and we will put in our adjustments here and loop through our container to print whatever range we want. Once we have this, we can go down in the main function and set up a bunch of containers. We have an std vector and an std array, and for example, we can say print collection and say we want to print int1. This is our data. We want an offset to the beginning iterator to be 2. Let's do the same thing we had in the slides and see how this works. Again, let's go through this. It is int1, it's not int1. Let's correct this. So what we will do, by default, the begin iterator is going to be pointing to this location, and the end iterator is going to be pointing past the last element. So that's going to be somewhere like here. But with our adjustment, we will take the begin iterator and add 2. So we will add 1 and 2, and the begin iterator is going to be pointing to 33 here, and we will subtract 2 from the end iterator. We will basically change it to go to 77 and 66, and this is where the end iterator is going to be pointing at. So this is going to be our new AND iterator. So if we try to print our data, we will get 33, 44, and 55. And if we increment from 55, we will hit the AND iterator and our loop will stop here. So we will print 33, 44, and 55. This is what we will get, and hopefully it is really making sense. We can pass this through our GCC compiler. The build is going to be good, so we can bring up a terminal window and try to run this. Let's clear and run Rooster. You're going to see that we get 33, 44, 55, exactly what we expect with our new adjustment here. Let's change the starting adjustment to be 1. So the beginning iterator is going to be pointing to 22, and that's where we will be starting from to print our data. You can see that this is going to work. So let's build. The build is good. We can clear and run Rooster. Now we have 22 printed out. We can even move our AND iterator closer to the beginning by increasing our offset from the AND. Now the AND iterator is going to move from past 77. It is going to go 77, 66, 55, and the AND iterator now is going to be pointing to 55. So we want to print the 55. We will only print the 44 here. And this is going to take out the 55 we have in our output here. We can try this out in Visual Studio Code. Let's pass this through our compiler. The build is good. We can clear and run Rooster. You see that the 55 is gone. You can really play with these things. We can even do the same thing to our other container because it supports iterators. So this is going to fall in place and work. We can say print collection and pass in int2. And we can pass in any kind of offset. Let's use 1 and 1 and see how this goes. We will be moving our AND iterator closer by 1 place. So the AND iterator is going to be pointing to 600 here. So if we print, we want to print the 600. And the begin iterator is also going to move by 1 place. And we will start by 200 here. So we will print 200, 300, 400, and 500 if we try to run the code here. Let's try and do that. We can pass this through our GCC compiler. The build is good. We can clear and run Rooster, and we will see the data that we expect. We have moved the start iterator by 1 slot, and we have moved the end iterator by 1 slot. And this is something you can do to adjust the range of data that you are manipulating in your container if you happen to need this for whatever problem you are trying to solve with C++. This is all I had to share in this lecture. I hope you found it interesting. We are going to stop here in this one. In the next one, we will learn about reverse iterators and show you that it is possible to move backwards through your container of items. Go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.